Also, heads, it's Greg Allison from Green Graves coming to you with breaking news. A helicopter carrying Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi has crashed, and it's been reported by various sources, all kind of different things. It's been said he was dead. It's been said he was found alive, but apparently neither of those cases are true. It's come out reports that a couple of people from the entourage have managed to contact some of the search crew. He's being searched for actively right now. The Iranians are claiming that the helicopter had a hard landing. So there's a lot of conflicting reports on the status of the Iranian president. And why this matters, why I'm covering on this channel, is even though it was probably a malfunction of the helicopter that brought it down, should the event have been caused by sabotage, then there's a lot to be concerned with. Should they find evidence of tampering with that helicopter, this could cause escalation of the situation in the Mideast. Now, if it was caused by sabotage, there's two possible sources, internal sources within Iran, because a lot of people in Iran, probably the vast majority, do not like the ruling regime. So that's a good, probable, easy to get to source for somebody that could cause sabotage on the president's helicopter. But however, it's the president's helicopter. There was an entourage of three helicopters, a convoy, three helicopters flying in this fleet, and only one went down, and it was the one with quite a few officials of Iran, including the Iranian president. So, to be specific, well, let me get back to it. Should they find that the Mossad was involved, that is going to have ill effects for peace in the Mideast that would only tend to escalate things considerably. Iran likes to take revenge for such things that would put things off the charts, but we do not know that. We're going to stick to the facts here. A lot of other YouTube channels have jumped the gun and declared him dead, declared him this, that, or the other. These are apparently maybe not true. We don't know all the details yet. The search is actually still ongoing. Let me bring up my chat room here to see who's in the chat room. But I bring you this live because this news is something that's changing moment by moment. We can find out the status of things here just any minute from now. So I'm just trying to get it out here real quick so you guys can see and hear and know what's going down, what we know, and kind of dispel some of the myths and of other postings out there. I'm going to try to, again, just bring you the facts. But according to the Islamic Republic News Agency. That's a state-run media outlet. It's an official outlet. The Iranian's president, Ibrahim Raisi, had crashed in some hard-to-reach northwest region of the country. The reason they're having a hard time finding him is the terrain, the fact that it's raining and it's foggy, it's windy. So that's complicating the search. They've got a lot of high-caliber people into the search right now, as you can imagine. He was returning from a ceremony to celebrate this dam opening up there in the region. And this was in the how you pronounce this? Vars, it's spelled Varzaqan. Varzakan, I don't know how to pronounce that. But they had the foreign minister on board, the Iranian foreign minister, Hossein Amir Abdullahan. And the governor of the East Azerbaijani province, Malik Ramadi. And so they were up there opening this dam, and they were actually meeting with people on the other side over there in Azerbaijan. Well, not Azerbaijan, but anyway. So this was a very, very critical meeting. It had a lot of the key personnel on board. But just given the fact that we have all this tension in the Mideast right now, and the fact that a lot of people would probably like to take this helicopter out, that drives this kind of a concern about the event. So that's why I'm bringing it to you, because yeah, people need to prepare. Chris, you're right. So that brings on the kind of questions we're bringing up here. What really went down? We're not going to know just yet. I am going to show you just a smattering of some of the reports out there, and they're all over the place. So we're going to go whoop, 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 wrong button. We're going to go to share. And here we are. This is a report from the Islamic Republic News Agency. And according to this, 2 members of President Raisi's entourage make contact with the rescue team. And this supposedly suggests that the landing wasn't that bad. At least there's a couple survivors. Now, what they've said has not been reported here. What they're claiming, I mean, you think they call in, they would tell you what the status of the president is. So that is a strange thing that we've not heard that. So what's really going down there? Is he injured? Anytime you have a hard landing or crash, there's potential that you could be injured. There's potential that he might not have made it. Maybe some people made it, some didn't. So there's just, why is this report not saying more than it is? So half an hour in flight, Raisi's helicopter lost contact with the other 2 helicopters. And they went on, which prompted them to search the area. So, let's see, Minister of Communications has been able to determine the location of the accident within a radius of 2 kilometers. So they've narrowed down the search. They're still searching. So all these claims that he's dead, all these claims that he's still alive, these are things that we don't really know. Now, this is coming out of an Alaska source here, reporting again from the RNA. And I said fog and difficult terrain here are to be cited. U.S. Department of Transportation says that Iranian support, much of it is through the Islamic Revolutionary National Guard. They're talking about the terrorist activities that Iran has supported. So, and Raisi, he's 33. He's a protege of Ali Khamenei, which is the actual head of the government. You got to remember, the president is not the absolute supreme authority. It's the Ayatollah Khamenei. And NBC News, this is supposedly a live report here. They're talking about bodies and, I guess, over there in Gaza in that report. Here, their latest is Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi's condition remains unclear. Well, that we can already ascertain just from even reports of the people reporting from the crash site. Apparently, like I said, 2 members of the entourage have reported, but what they reported is not being reported, which makes it kind of interesting. This is still a mystery, my friends. Flying conditions report. Yeah, it was foggy. Arnold Smith's a flying conditions report. That's true. It was foggy, raining, and it went down in rough territory. Why they even chose to fly through that beats me. And that's probably a contributing factor. It could have just been bad navigation, but it's more, I'd say it's most likely an issue of maintenance. Why? Because a lot of the aviation fleet in Iran goes back to 1979 when they had their Islamic Revolution. Prior to that, when the Shah was in power, they were getting a lot of aircraft from the United States. Well, that ceased then. They did not get any more aircraft or spare parts from the United States. So the Iranians, even though they've built quite a missile force, their aircraft, their aviation force, their air force suffers mightily. They have not been able to keep that up as well. Now, they're getting some things from the Russians, but they have to basically generate new spare parts out of their machine shops or whatever they can to keep their fleet flying. So the status of their fleet is much in question. And this is Jerusalem Post, and just the character of what it says here might say that Israel might have a reason to want to take out the Iranian President Raisi, because what it says here, it would be hard to find a next president or a next Iran president worse than Raisi. I mean, a headline like that makes them almost sound like, well, they'd be happy if he was gone. If they're happy he was gone, maybe they had a hand in it. I don't know. But how they even make that claim? Because any president of Iran is going to be an appointee, basically, of the Ayatollah Khamenei. Yeah, they had an election, but the election process was that anybody that the Ayatollah Khamenei did not want to run was not enabled to run, and he pretty much handpicked the person who would have the job. and that's who gets elected. That's just the way it works over there. So, so in the event that President Ibrahim Raisi had died or had been severely incapacitated, it'd be hard to find someone worse, as the former IDF chief Major General from I guess the reserves, Tamir Heyman. He reported that to the Jerusalem Post. So they go on to add, it would have no strategic impact, just as it would be less of a headache in choosing the next president. So you can expect the Iranian policies to basically not change. They're not going to change because they lost this president. That's the bottom line. If they have lost this president, and he's probably alive. Is he incapacitated? We don't know. Is he alive? We don't know. The fact that two people in the entourage have reported back, and that status does not include the status of the president, is a big question. This article is saying, is he dead? I've seen other postings already claiming he was, and we just do not know at this point. Now here's also he is found. He's okay, but he's not been found. They have not got to the site yet. So, yeah, there's a lot of, he's been found. He's okay. He's dead. You see what I'm saying, guys? The reports are all over the place. Now, if we come here to Al Jazeera, 31 minutes ago, they reported the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Commander-in-Chief Hossein Salami, excuse me, not salami. It's almost spelled like it, Salami, had arrived in the area. So they got top brass, including the commander-in-chief of their armed forces, over there looking for the president. Of course, it's the president. They're going to put people out there like that. So let's see what the latest minute-by-minute report is. 1 minute ago, country of substance and durability. 17 minutes ago, we hope for good news. So it seems that this is still indeterminate. It is still indeterminate what is the status of the president of Iran. Again, this is back to the Islamic Revolutionary Public News Agency. 2 members of President Raisi's entourage make contact with rescue teams. I just showed you that article a moment ago, and that struck me really odd that they reported, and that's reported, but what's not reported is the status of the president himself. Now, is that strange? They've reported. I guess they had a cell phone or something. They've called, or a radio, maybe a radio in the helicopter or something. They have contacted the search team or someone, and we know at least 2 members of this crew are alive. We don't know their condition. Sometimes you can survive helicopter crashes, but 40 days after April solar eclipse, says escalate. Yeah, I don't know, guys. So let me stop the share. Bottom line. The bottom line of this stuff is, what we do know is there was a helicopter crash. 1 of 3 helicopters and a little convoy coming from the ceremony for opening that dam, which contained the Iranian foreign minister and the Iranian president, crashed. It also had a representative of the Ayatollah Khomeini. Another Ayatollah was on board to be the official delegate for Ayatollah Khomeini. Why is the president not the official delegate? That's another good question, because the president really isn't in charge. I mean, he's got official duties. He is a powerful man in Iran. You can't deny that. And the fact that the Israelis are saying, he's the worst you could expect, kind of suggests that, he does have a lot of sway and a lot of power that the Israelis aren't happy with. So that also kind of implicates a possibility that Israel was involved. If somebody did sabotage the flight, just given the number of people in Iran that are not happy with the regime that runs it, it's quite probable that it was just somebody locally might have done something to the helicopter that would have caused it problems or issues in flight. That's a possibility. It could have just been bad maintenance, as I pointed out, or it could have been just bad navigation, flying through bad weather through a mountainous region. There's just a lot of natural and human error causes that could have caused this flight to crash. Just poor maintenance, But the possibility for sabotage is existent. Like I said, it could have been local sabotage or it could have been Mossad. Mossad apparently would love to do something like this. And the fact that they publish articles in Jerusalem Post, like I just showed you, indicates that they might be favorable to that. If they should be implicated, whether they did it or not, if they should be implicated, that would only escalate things between Israel and Iran, which is already a powder keg at the moment with sparks flying all around it. So this is a risk. It's a risk for escalation. That's why I decided to bring it to you, is that this, this could cause problems. As we know, and I've reported to you from years back, almost back at the inception of this channel, about 6 years ago, I warned you guys that the head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard was given the report from our from Nuke here in the United States, the National Electric Reliability Corporation, that it would be possible to take down our entire power grid by taking out just 9 critical substations. When that report was brought to him, he said, I've already got 20 of them targeted with sleeper cells in the United States. That was years ago. What's the status today? What damage could they do if we get into it with Iran? A lot. It could be, we could be on the precipice of losing our grid if we get into it with Iran. I said could. So this is not a prediction. I try not to make predictions on this channel other than telling you the price of food's going up. That I predicted, and that came true. And it looks like it's still going up. I'm hearing reports that beef is about to go up 40% more. We do know there's shortages in beef. So you can expect that we're coming into difficult times, especially here we are in the middle of election year. Here we are with a ground war in Europe. Here we are with tensions with China and North Korea. The tensions between Iran and Israel are off the charts. They've already exchanged missiles, although the missile exchange was somewhat tempered, I suppose you might say, somewhat limited. Heavy fog and rain, and that could have been the absolute cause of it. Chewy Weather is my weather reporter, my personal weather reporter. Act of God might have been, George. It's entirely possible. So only says in Scripture, they only try to heal Babylon, and it couldn't be healed. Well, military roots, you can survive helicopter crashes. Amen. I personally know people that survived helicopter crashes. I was in the Army and I had a lot of Army friends and retirees as friends, even when I was in the Army. And I think I knew one guy survived 3 helicopter crashes in Vietnam. One of my buddies when I was over at Fort Bragg. Actually, he was a relative too. He lived in that area back at the time. So, yeah, there's just a lot to be seen as to what actually went down, what happened, and what it may portend for the world politics, for the tensions in the area. So let's just hope that this was weather or bad maintenance. And but if anybody tampered with it, they probably couldn't tell who tampered with it. Even if it was a local person dissatisfied with the regime, if they do find evidence of tampering, and sometimes that's usually an accident investigation committee can find a lot of things about a crash. It's amazing what you can discover from something that's blown to smithereens, because these people investigate air. One of the most interesting forensic type of investigation is these crash investigations. The stuff they can figure out and find out is phenomenal. So, but this aircraft is apparently pretty much intact, at least intact enough that we know right now there's 2 survivors. It may be everybody survived. We don't know what their physical conditions are. But if there was an attempt at the life of the president, if they think it was tampering, even if it was local, it's likely that they would point a finger to the Mossad, because they probably wouldn't know who did it unless they catch somebody at the maintenance site or wherever the helicopter last departed from. Even then, they may suspect Mossad involvement. So there's a good chance, not a certainty, a good chance that this could escalate the tensions between Iran and Israel, which are already off the charts. So this could this guy. Hey, Brian Prendy, I opened your box last night on my live video on Swivelhead News, and yummy! Wow, good stuff, amazing. He sent me a great box of a lot of yummies, sardines and beef sticks and summer sausages that were just awesome stuff. Thank you there, Brian. Salute to you. Thank you for that. So that was a major contribution from Brian Perendi. He spent a fair bit of money on that stuff and shipping it to me. He's always a good supporter. Had a nice card in there with a smiling dog on the cover. So yeah, this is bad news. It is bad news. I was a Boeing. I don't know what the helicopter was. I know there's a lot of Boeing stuff crashing recently, but this helicopter probably predates 1979. It's probably not an artifact of the current problems that are existing with Boeing. It is probably a situation of just bad maintenance, if that's the case, because like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the aviation fleet in Iran predates the Iranian Revolution because the United States was supplying a lot of aircraft to Iran when the Shah was in power. And once the Islamic Revolution took place, that and all the spare parts were cut off, and Iran's had to make do with what they could to maintain that fleet. And so there's always, even a good aircraft, a good helicopter checked out and you think it's good can crash. Y'all might remember I reported on this channel last winter of last year, not this year, but the previous one, a helicopter crash on Highway 53 just below me that took out 6 American airmen, 6 or 7, everybody on board perished. It was just fueled up and it crashed on the highway just south of me. And it blocked the highway off, coming right out of Redstone Arsenal. And Redstone Arsenal is the head of the Aviation and Missile Command of the Army. So, you would expect high order maintenance. And I did work briefly for a helicopter maintenance company there at the Army airfield at Redstone Arsenal. So I've been there. I've seen, the operations that take place there. So you'd expect when you got the best of the best, and you still have the best of the best in the West, and you still have a crash of a perfectly good helicopter, that one that's been had questionable maintenance from way back in 1979 could be subject to issues and problems. In fact, it could be. Then flying through bad weather, through rugged terrain, there's a lot of causes that could bring this down. A lot of potential root causes other than tampering. But then again, because it was the helicopter of the president, was the only one out of the 3 that went down, it makes you wonder. The fact that Jerusalem Post posted a article from one of the officers in the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, saying that that Raisi was probably the worst potential president that he was also tied to Mossad, that Iran could have. That they probably didn't need to post that, because that probably just points the finger back at them. So why did they even post an article like that? Leslie, 40 days from April 8th, Saturday, Jesus' journey through hell underworld before return on Saturday. I don't know, Leslie, but a lot to be questioned here. A lot to be. Captain Charles think DEI might have been behind the crash that happened. Well, I don't know. When I worked for that company, it was it was a spot-on company. They were as good as any maintenance crew might be. But it's just a maintenance crew. It was there. So yes, all your thoughts could be possible. Yeah, the fact of the matter is, right now, I'm just reporting the facts. We do not know. Now, the actual status may come out any minute. A lot of channels have been on here proclaiming it's this, it's that. There are a lot of people shoot from the hip. I'm not shooting from the hip. I'm not making those kind of claims because we don't know. We've seen claims he's alive. We've seen claims he is dead. We've seen, now we're saying, well, they're still trying to get to the aircraft. They don't know. But apparently 2 members of the crew, at least the people on board, have made contact to the outside world. But it did not tell us what they said about the status of the president. which is highly suspicious. Now, that you would think that would have been the leading piece of information there. So that kind of bodes ill, but it doesn't mean anything necessarily. It just makes you wonder, what is the status of the president? Is he gravely injured? Anytime you have a helicopter crash, that's a possibility. Has he passed away? We do not yet know. We do not yet know. Oh, it's a Bell 212. Okay. So, been a very long Saturday. Well, yeah, it's going to be a long Saturday. Yeah, a Huey. Oh, okay, an old Huey. That's what, man, I've flown in a Huey. A sling-loaded payloads below a Huey when I was in the Army. Actually, I wasn't in the Army when I flew in a Huey. That's back when I was in high school in ROTC. I flew in a Huey. The whole time I was in the Army, I never flew in one, but I did sling-load a payload to one. So I flew in an Army C-12 aircraft. And I flew some Air Force aircraft, space available. So anyway, yeah, yeah. So the bottom line, we don't know what happened. But if Iran suspects foul play, it could lead to escalation of tensions in the region. That's an if. So put words in my mouth. I mean, people, he's technically MIA. That's true. Still, he's technically MIA. Joe Biden needs spoon applesauce. Schrodinger's cat. Oh, yeah. It may depend on which way we look at it. Maybe he's dead and alive. Just depends on how we look at it in our multiverse. Iran has suffered from Western sanctions. Yeah, the fleet is aged. Amen. That fleet is aged. The maintenance is poor. They can only make their own spare parts. They're not getting spare parts in the United States for these aircraft. You know, being a Huey, they definitely. Samuel Turner, salute to you. Thank you, Samuel Turner, very much, regardless of whether the I-Press is alive, Iranian president is alive or not. Oh, I'm still the second ugliest man. I don't know. We'll have to arm wrestle for the title of first there, Sam. Yeah. All righty. So, in any event, thank you there, Samuel Turner. Salute to you again. So, guys, the bottom line, we don't know. We just got to wait and see. And then if we find out, we got to, and even if they tell us it was bad maintenance or something like that, they may change their mind. Would they have a political agenda to declare otherwise? I don't think so, because I don't think Iran actually wants to escalate things any further at the moment until they get all their ducks in a row. I think they're trying to avoid a direct war with Israel. They would prefer their proxies fight it for them, just as the United States wants to fight Russia to the last Ukrainian. Iran would prefer to fight Israel to the last Gazan, to the last member of Hezbollah. So we shall see how this turns out. Oh, he's gorgeous. Who's that, Steffords J? Slady, thank you there, Steffords J. Step hurts. Anyway, so, wow, rough and feathers in a big way. Yeah, if it's sabotage, hey, Vicky, how you doing? Doesn't matter what you look like. Yeah. Thank you, Vicky. I try to be good in the heart. I do. That I do. And I'm just trying to bring you guys what we really know. I heard that a worker at a Virginia transformer factory lost their transformer and they can't make anything. Did they lose it in the storm? There was damage from the solar storm. There were a number of satellites had issues. There were a number of radio outages. There were GPS got disrupted. And we're just lucky that X 8.7 wasn't pointed at Earth. We are really lucky for that one. So, yeah, it was heavy fog. They had heavy fog. They had rain. They were in the mountains. A lot of possibilities for root causes that were natural or just human error. A lot of possibilities for root causes to this that could have just been poor maintenance or just an aged old helicopter that had got past its expiry date and went down. So, battle of the solar eclipse leaders. Just waiting to see who gets blamed for it. Drops, that's it. That is my point. That's the bottom line here. Who is getting drops? Has got a Rumble channel you guys might want to check out. Drops Family Garden. So Internet was very intermittent. Yeah, it was. There was some problems with the internet. There were some servers that went down. So the solar storm did have some effects, and they were in keeping with what I said the possibilities were when I showed you guys the possibilities of what a G4 could do and what a G5 could do. That's the level. This was we had a G5 storm, but it wasn't as intense as the Carrington event. Although that X 8.7 might have got close. Yeah, bear in mind, guys, we just barely missed getting hit by a coronal mass ejection in July of 2012 that many analysts think were more powerful than the Carrington event. So to think that we're going to be okay and nothing's ever going to happen is naivety, very naive. This is why you need to get your ducks in an order. Get your ducks in order. If you have a nuclear CME, if you have a nuclear EMP, not CME, that's from the sun. If you have a nuclear EMP, that's where you got to worry about. There's three waveforms out of EMP. E1 is the high frequency stuff that can affect shorter leads on electronics and avionics. Shorter wire links will pick up the higher frequency waveforms. Your cell phone might survive, but there won't be a network for it. But if anything plugged in, we'll probably be fried. The situation, like we got it on a charger, the situation of E2 is like a big form of lightning, more or less. And there's the E3 waveform, which the sun puts out. The sun only gives you E3. That's long wave radiation. The long wave radiation is picked up by long conductors like pipelines, rail lines, any kind of long wire, very long wire, power lines, pipelines, rail lines. And so that current could be on the order of hundreds of amps, and it could absolutely shock you. If you touch a bare conductor, it could electrocute you. And yeah, people got shocked at telegraph stations back in 1859. There were sparks from the little telegraph switches. And back then, electronics was just a manual switch that you'd make a contact with a spring on it. And they found that even when they disconnected the batteries at the telegraph stations, they could still send signals that still had power on the line. And it was reported that wires burned in a lot of places and some telegraph stations caught fire. So drops. This EMP can also mess up your brain. Yeah, the E1 might. I guess your neurons can be very long conductors. So they'll probably pick up that E1, maybe. So maybe nerves in your nervous system. This may be why people report ill effects from solar activity, but you'd have to have a very long conductor in your body. You got miles of neurons, but they are disconnected at the synapses, which they use chemicals to communicate between synapse to synapse of your neurological network that's built into you. So yeah, drops. Hope you're okay from those storms. I think you're in Arkansas, right? So yeah, Houston got hit hard. See the damage from Houston area storms? Yes. There's last report I saw last night, there were still over 100,000 people out of power there. It may take a while to get everybody back up. Yeah, there were some fires started by the Carrington event. That's true. But with our modern electronics being what it is, our modern power grid, we know that we have lost transformers from storms far less powerful than the Carrington event. That's why we worry about those extra large transformers that are responsible for all the long-range power transmission in this country. And without those, our power grid goes down. It's over. So you got multiple sources and reasons to be worried about the power grid. We are in a period of nuclear tension. EMP is a source you've got to be worried about. The sun, a CME from the sun is a source you got to be worried about. Direct ballistic kinetic attacks on our power substations, such as those suggested by the former head, the Iranian Republican Guard, excuse me, back in the day when he was shown that 9 critical substations could take out our entire grid from the Nuke organization. His response was that we only have 20 targeted with sleeper cells here in this country. But people don't want to talk about sleeper cells. You know, that's verboten almost. You know what? And because it might suggest somebody's coming across the border that ought not cross the border, and that's just discussion that they don't want on these networks. And given that that was the status years ago, I believe that report came out in, was it 2014 that the NERC made that report, and so that was 10 years ago. Has it been possible that somebody that might have nefarious intent toward the United States could slip people in this country to do ill will since then? Seemed like they had plenty of people that slipped in prior to then if they had 20 substations targeted. So how easy is that? We don't have just a lot of tons of military age Chinese coming in this country, do we? Oh, no. No. Yeah, we do. But, most of the people coming from China are just probably trying to get away from the regime there. Happy to get out, even though they're still subject to the illegal Chinese police stations, especially according to a recent spy from China that's reported on that and their activities going after Chinese people all over the world. And the tricks and depths that go check out China Uncensored. That's another YouTube channel with Chris Chappell. He does some excellent reporting on that stuff. Excellent reporting. Go look at his videos. Highly recommend that. So anyway, I just wanted to bring this to you so that you can understand the risk that we're facing, that this is a potential escalatory point that could cause more mayhem than we've already been seeing. And I think we're done for now. Gave you all the facts, what we know, and just stay tuned. This will be a developing story. We'll hear more about it minute by minute, hour by hour, and we'll just have to see what's left when the smoke clears or when the fog clears, literally. And when they get there on site, and then what they find, it might be they'll do an exit investigation. It may take them days, weeks, months, who knows? But it does not bode well in any case. So just keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. Okay, we got Colonel Cole in the house. Good to see that. So why wouldn't they be flying Russian aircraft? They're getting some Russian aircraft, but they're not getting enough to really replenish their air force. And Russia is right now actively using as many aircraft as they can for the war they're doing in Europe. All righty, guys. So that's it for this story. I just wanted you guys to hear this and just understand that a lot of the reports are sent out there on YouTube, a lot of the early reports that other YouTubers have reported, and where they've already drawn the conclusions that this happened, that happened. Don't buy it yet, because we just don't know. Including a lot of the articles on the internet. Like I showed you, I've already shown you articles that showed he's dead, he's alive, he's just fine. And then, well, we don't know. We're still looking. That's the latest. But we do know that 2 of the entourage have reported out in some fashion, but they didn't say nothing in the article from the Iranian news agency about the actual status of the president, which I find that mighty unusual. Mighty unusual. How you got somebody from the very aircraft he was in, 2 people reporting out. You would think they would say something about the status of the president. You're pretty sure they have been asked about it, reported it, but that has not come to us yet. Why? That has not come to us yet. Why is that? I don't know, my friends. Eyes wide open, head on a swivel. You might want to go to prepwithgreg.com, my friends, and get ready. Prep what you can. Go to the big box stores. Pile your food high. Keep it dry. Keep your powder dry. We are facing serious times. And, we got civil strife within this country. We're into an election year. We're more divided than we've been since the 1860s here in this nation. You look at that. You look at all the tension in this World War III that's going on around us and how we're sliding into it. Whatever's the truth, the state will be the opposite. So there you go. That's pretty much true. So just because you hear something don't mean that's the truth. Now, if you see the president standing up of Iran afterwards and talking on a microphone, then you can assume the possibility exists that he survived it. Of course, they can always dig up old video. People be analyzing that too, right? So, we have a summer of love 2.0 coming. Yeah, I bet. Drops, I bet. Summer of love. 1969. You know, the song, all these songs refer back to 1969. Yikes, guys. That's all I can say is yikes. Eyes wide open, head on a swivel. Remember, it's a proposition in this channel help you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. My friends, thank you for watching. And with that, I'm going to say, oh, yeah, thank you, super chatters. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And I hope everybody has a good day. But again, keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel more than ever. You never know what's around the next corner. In your